and welcome to this version of an Ahmed-Schocket glaucoma procedure. This is a modification of the original. Here I start with 20 micrograms of mitomycin C, and then we wait 2.5 minutes. This is injected inferonasal, as I do for all of my shunts. Of course, I'm sitting temporal. The original Schocket reference, if you're interested. Here is a subconj injection of anesthesia to get things started. That is with epi. Then I mark off 7 by 7 millimeters. Notice that gives a 10 millimeter cord, but not a 10 millimeter wound. I really like this opening. The closure is fantastic. It heals great, and it allows me to put the shunt in and tuck it away with really good exposure. So just kind of dissect everything out and add some cautery as needed. Open up some tenons as well. Here's a sub-tenons block. Now I'm marking 7 millimeters posterior to the limbus. That's where our tube is going to start. In this case, I needed a 6/0 silk traction suture. We don't always, depends on the situation. So plenty of cautery to expose the previous buckle. That's what a Schocket procedure is. And instead of just putting the tube into that capsule, which is the original, I really like using the Ahmed valve system. It just provides a lot more control in the post-op period. So do enough dissection to open everything up and definitely test the valve flow. Never put in an Ahmed without testing those leaflets. So I open up enough space to make sure I can get that thing in there. And here I'm trimming it. I just trim off the back, kind of round off the edges, but I keep the front valve system. So basically we're going to be using the band as our spacer and volume generator in place of the plate. I suppose it's possible to leave the plate, but it could float too much up in the air like that if it's left. Here I'm using the Jerabec orthodontist pliers, and that bends the 22 gauge needle safely and well controlled every time. Starting 7 millimeters back. I put the bevel down, and that gives me the best control so I don't puncture into the choroidal space. And then it's a little difficult to see in this video, but you really want to be able to just barely see that needle through the sclera. So it's not deep sclera, it's kind of in the top, third. And then I'm going to bring it all the way through about halfway, because I know I'm 7 millimeters, so I'm going to go about 3.5 millimeters. Doesn't have to be precise. And here I'm going to show you something in real time on purpose. So I'm pulling at this point. I'm literally pulling. I know it looks like I'm not doing anything, but I am pulling. And the purpose of this is to open up that scleral tunnel. What I found with this double needle technique, if I just go in and pull it straight out, the sclera snaps right back and it becomes almost impossible to put the tube in. So I take my time here and hold it in, and then while I'm doing this, I'll trim the edge of the tube, give it a little bevel, and then when I think it's been long enough, which is kind of a judgment call here, then I'll pull it out, and the opening should be open enough so that I can slide the tube in. There we go. You always know if you didn't hold it long enough, because that thing will just snap right back, and then it becomes really difficult to insert, if not impossible. So I give it a good tug and just hold it there. I'm actually pulling up a little bit as well. So here we are with the suture. This is a vertical mattress suture using 7/0 Vicryl. You can use 8/0 Vicryl, 6/0 Vicryl, whatever you want. But the important thing is the vertical mattress. So I'm going down through the plate, through the buckle, and then back up through the buckle and the plate of the Ahmed. And by doing that, it will compress down into the buckle without rotating. If you use a standard suture that crosses over a single suture, it will tend to pull it and rotate the back end up. And this is not what we want. We want this thing nice and flat. And then for this, I do one on either side of the tube, so that it's nice and secure, and we have a absolute contact between the buckle and the Ahmed. And this is how we're going to generate surface area for the Ahmed to work. And same thing, nice vertical mattress suture. It's really important so that we get great contact and it's nice and secure. So once this is in, notice I put the first tunnel and then I secure the plate, and that's so that I can adjust the final distance, because now the tube won't move at all. But after, before I have that secured, the tube can move back and forth. So I just do the first tunnel and then secure the plate. And this is the same for doing a standard Ahmed as well. I put the first tunnel through the posterior tunnel, and then I secure the plate, and then I do the second tunnel. Second tunnel goes in the outdoors. So you take the exit of the first tunnel, go back in, and now I have to angle down and enter the eye. And this is just takes a bit of experience to be able to get the angle in the right way. And while I'm pulling and waiting, I'm also going to trim my tube here. This is kind of a pro move to do it at the same time. I don't always. Sometimes I'll trim the tube first and then I'll make my tunnel. But in this case, I wanted to show the other way to do it. You can see the needle in the anterior chamber, and again the entry, the angulation. This is just takes some experience of knowing when to dive in, and it also depends on whether you want to do this anterior chamber or sulcus, because it can be done either one. So once the tube is tucked in, there it is. It's gone. It requires no sutures, no closure, because I went in the exit. That will just close right up. So now I take the angle point, the little corner, and sew that down first, and that locks down my anatomy, so I can then run the both of the sides of this triangle here. And this is a running horizontal mattress, and the purpose of this is to keep the suture from crossing the wound. This is a much more comfortable closure. It's also cosmetically so much better. It's the same if you're working on skin, and this is a skin. So, and I'll show you the whole thing because it's kind of boring, but basically I'm just running a horizontal mattress and starting from the corner and going all the way to the distal part. And there we go. So now I wrap that up. It requires no patch graft of any kind because when we're back 7 millimeters, we don't have to worry about it. And then, of course, the ceremonial fluorescein strip, as is done with all glaucoma surgery. And there we have it, a Ahmed-Schocket modified glaucoma procedure. Thank you very much for your attention.